If you want to know the whole truth about anything in life, you must go beyond this plane of existence. And that's why your OBEs are so important, because it takes you beyond this plane of existence so you can get the whole truth, not just little bits and pieces here and there that you would get in this reality, because that's all you're going to get. It's bits and pieces. And then you need to try to connect the dots and do all that kind of stuff. But when you go outside of this plane, outside of the earthly plane, period, you're going to get the whole truth, because you're going to be raising above these various different earthly constructs and go galactic, so that you'll know about things that are happening in this reality, in your life, in other people's lives, and then as a whole. All right? So today I want to talk about that. All right, before I get started, it's been a minute since I've done a video. It is August 23rd. This video will probably come out on the 24th. So the end of August, and I haven't done a video since May. So some of you may not even know who I am. I am Vernita C. Ray Sherman. I am an interdimensional traveler, an OBE mentor that works with people who have spontaneous or naturally occurring out-of-body experiences, meaning it happens on their own. They don't have to take something to make it happen and try to trigger it. It happens on their own. And I work with them to help them make sense of their out-of-body experiences and make them more consistent and intentional. Now, here's the thing. What I want to get into today is because so many things have come to my awareness just within the last 3 months. A lot of memory has opened up. And so I'm going to keep on talking about Galactic OBEs for a reason. Now, the reason why it's been so long since you've heard from me is because chemotherapy almost killed my mother. And it's supposed to be what people go through in order to deal with cancer and all of that, right? But unfortunately, it toxified her brain, and it just was a cascade of detrimental health events after that, leaving her bedridden, barely able to talk, eat, or walk. And it's just been an interesting experience. Now, because I have out-of-body experiences, and because memories have opened up, and because I understand things from more of a big picture point of view, I was able to handle all of this. That's been unbelievable. I'm just going to use that word, unbelievable. The combination of, what do they call it? RVD, Revlimid, Velcade, and dexamethasone, that combo, it was a killer, right? Well, it could have been. And I'm sure it has been for other people. But I was able to stop it in time for it before it did any further damage to my mother. So things are stabilizing now. And now that we're on an upward progression with her health, I can focus time on my work here. But last few months, it was 100% my mother. All right. So now I'm back. And I want to say to you that no matter what is going on in your life here, there's always reasons for it. And those reasons may be things that you can't even fathom because you're looking at it from a human perspective, which is why I talk about Galactic OBEs. When you only have out-of-body experiences that are within the earthly plane, so you can feel yourself leave your body, you're astral traveling, astral projecting, whatever language you want to use to call what that is. Okay, I'm just going to call it that. You're wandering around in the spirit realm version of this reality. That's a very limited plane of existence. You know, a lot of people use the term other side. I do not use that term anymore. And when I was using it, that was prior to me having out-of-body experiences. Now that I have been in various different planes, densities, and just been away from this particular construct, I'm telling you right now, saying other side makes no sense, because there's more than just the non-physical spirit realm version of this reality. What people here call other side is a very lower density compared to if you were to, now, of course, it's higher than what we are here, but if you were to interact with a sixth, seventh, eighth dimensional being, those beings are not necessarily on an other side, but to us, it may seem that way. However, they are really a lighter or less dense physical version. For an example, if you interact with someone on Jupiter, as an example, or let's say Neptune, or let's just say completely outside of our solar system, our star system, and you go to another galaxy or another star system. So forget galaxy, let's just keep it simple. If you go to another star system, okay, let's say Sirius or Pleiades or some other star system. I'm using those two because they most people have heard of them, okay? So they are not in a spirit realm. They are in a very lighter density than we are. It's more of a physical uh reality that's very light. That's very it's not as dense as us. So when they transition into what people are calling other side, that other side isn't like our other side because it's not an other side. You see? So what's the easiest way for me to say this? You're a being of light. You're a galactic being of light. You can say cosmic being of light. You're light. All right? And so what you are is spirit or light that has allowed for itself to become dense. So the soul construct is a construct of the light form that you are that goes into various different realities and incarnates. So you are a soul made up of spirit that takes parts of itself and goes into various different worlds, okay? One soul made up of spirit, that is your essence. And then it's like you take a part of that, or you can call it, I don't want to use the term fragment, but fractal is the best way of saying it. Fractal here, fractal there, fractal over there, da 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 da. Different worlds, all right? These worlds, some of them are very dense and some of them are not. As far as your body is concerned, the form that you are, some of the forms are dense, some of them are not. And the density is a spectrum. So if I say that, okay, this is less dense over here and this is more dense over here, right? And then you have this spectrum in between of densities. So you've taken your body and have made it various different densities. And that body is just one aspect of the bigger soul that you are. So this particular aspect may be less dense than that particular aspect, then that one, all over the place. When you transition, these various different aspects transition into the next phase of living, it's going to be different for the different aspects. Everyone does not, or all your aspects don't go through the same thing. At some point, there becomes a merger with the bigger soul that you are. But the whole other side gets very confusing for people because then you start talking about your loved ones here that have transitioned and you may see them on the so-called other side and all these other things. But you got to remember, you weren't just human. You're more than human. Right now, you're more than human. So where are those versions of you? They're not over there in what you think the spirit realm is. And all of these realms, all of these worlds, all of these densities is very broad. So other side of what? It's like you have to understand that you are simply different densities, okay? And the different worlds that exist are constructs. Once you continue to get up out of these various constructs, not going to another side, you're just becoming less and less and less dense, less and less until you get to pure light that's emanated. So you have darkness, which is all light combined, that has expressed itself. That is the I am. And that I am has created multiple versions of itself in different forms and different densities. That is what we all are. There is no other side to that. It's all of that. These constructed worlds, they vary. And so when someone tells you that a world is like this or a world is like that, it may be how they are perceiving it. All right? And you, because you hear them talk about it over and over and over again, and it's all within your system, this is what you think that it is, you may experience it exactly the way that they said because they said that. They influenced your experience. That's why at some point, stop listening to the people, close the books, and start going within yourself, have the experience in a more pure way. That's why I lead people back to themselves. I'm not trying to tell you that it's like this and it's like that. For me, that don't mean it's going to be like that for you or anyone else. You got to have your own experience. Do you understand? Stop listening to what everyone else is talking about. And I want to talk about the whole language thing. When everyone is talking about the etymology of this word and that word and all of this kind of stuff, listen, there was a time when language was not necessary. There was just vibration that gave off sound. And that vibration, that sound, did something within the universe when it was uttered. Language was not necessary. Someone along the line created language, and that became a thing in certain constructive worlds, especially this one. And now everyone wants to go back to, well, this means this, and that means that, and all these other kind of things. That doesn't make any sense. You know why it doesn't make any sense? And let me give you a very simple example that everyone will understand. In the U.S., with burgers, we have what? Fries, right? We call it fries. Now, you go somewhere else in the world, a lot of people, like in the UK and whatnot, they call those chips. Does it really matter whether you call it fries or chips? They're fried potatoes. Whether you call it fries, call it chips, we're talking about the same thing. And that what they call chips, what we call chips, they call crisps. We call it two different things, but we're talking about the same thing. And that's exactly what's happening when it comes to spirituality and mystical words. People argue over stuff, and they're talking about the same thing and get pissed off and mad and upset because somebody calling it this when they think they should be calling it that. It doesn't matter. So just remember that when people are going back and forth about this and that, and you're trying to learn and understand, it's like, well, it's like this or it's like that. It's no different. They're talking about the same thing, and it's no difference than fries versus chips and chips versus crisps. And, it's just different parts of the world called things differently. And it's the same thing galactically. Different galactic beings call different things differently. And so if you don't know your galactic origins, you're not going to know what you're more prone to when it comes to your beliefs around certain things. Some of the things that you believe that's coming from within you is not a belief. It's a knowing that's coming from within you. But because you're listening to everybody else out here, it becomes a belief of theirs. When I say of theirs, I mean it becomes your belief because of something that they said and how they perceive it. Don't go off of what someone else says and how they perceive it. When you have the opportunity to have your own experience, you've got to connect with your galactic family. And 9 times out of 10, they've already reached out to you. And again, I'm speaking to people who already have out-of-body experiences or are prone to that. So something has happened where you almost came out of your body, or some type of something prior to the OBE happened. You may have stopped it out of fear or whatever, but you've gotten to that point. I can't speak to the people who have not already had those experiences. That's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the ones who have already had these experiences that I'm talking about, because you guys, some of you, are being called by your galactic family. Like, they are literally reaching out to you, and they're reaching out to you through your senses, which brings me to another point. Your seeing, hearing, and feeling senses are very important. All of them are important, but those 3 right there, to see, hear, and feel, a lot of times, your people up there are reaching out to you through those means. So when you have your OBEs, especially if it's triggered by a sense, you have a huge opportunity to start seeing the truth, because you're going to be seeing it from a more broader perspective outside of the earthly plane and get information from your people. Not on the other side. You're going beyond the other side. You're going in a even higher density than the other side, okay? And getting information from your folks. And memories are going to start opening up too when that happens. Pay attention. So, when it comes to your OBEs, stop doing all of the external stuff to trigger them. You try so hard with all the meditations, sound frequencies, listening to this and that. You don't need to do all of that. You have them naturally. So cultivate that. You cultivate it through your senses. But first, you have to know who you are from a galactic perspective. Understand your origin. Once you understand who you truly are, you can tap into that. You tap into your essence. You tap into your galactic beingness. And then you take that and you merge that with the person that you are here as a human. Okay? So first is awareness of self, knowing who you are galactically, cosmically. Your galactic self will lead to your cosmic self understanding, okay? Then you can tap into all of that, tapping into your essence. You got to know what you're tapping into first before you can tap in. And then you integrate with the human you hear. And so that's what I'm all about. That's what I teach and guide people through. And now I'm working with people in a more of a group setting with the inner circle as opposed to privately at mysticalrecall.com. You can click on inner circle if you're interested in that. But that's what I'm all about. The inner circle will open up within the next 2 weeks because on September 6th, and let me make sure I got the date right. On September 6th, in 2 weeks, that's when I plan on having the first live session. And so there are going to be weekly live sessions with everyone there. And then also people can contact me within the community. They can create their own progress journal and we can continue the thread in there. Or they can contact me, you'll see the prompts of what you can do. So I want this to be very personable. There's going to be a lot of access directly to me. And so I want to really pour into people to really help them with their out-of-body experiences, making sense of them, making them more consistent and intentional for those who want them to be intentional. So check that out again, mysticalrecall.com. Go and click on Inner Circle and you can read up on it. If you want to join the wait list, join the wait list. Those of you who have already been on the wait list for a minute, it's coming. It's literally within the next 2 weeks. So I have some work to do within the next week to finish up on the videos. But also, again, there's that live component that'll be there as well. Now, I'm not done with this video. I should make a part 2, but I have more that I want to say right now. Since I'm in the mood and I want to, I want to get some things off my chest. Let me get it off my chest. So there's something else I want to say to you, and I want to make sure that I don't miss out. Scrolls, tablets, and written things on walls and pyramids and all these ancient this and ancient that. Remember, always remember that those are earlier humans that have done that. And then some of those writings are actually galactic beings that were here first. That's a whole thing. Like humans were not here first. There were already people from there, which is you, that were here, not in human form. And they have their inscriptions on different walls, pyramids, and different. But who knows what that means? Do you really know what someone from Sirius, like who can interpret that language? You know what I mean? And so when you have human beings that have written stuff in ancient languages that can be interpreted, remember they're speaking from their perspective. Again, there is a connection with them to certain galactic beings in certain planets and star systems. Not everyone is the same or perceive things the same way. That's why there have been galactic wars. So when there are beings telling you about something, that doesn't mean that that's the only truth. Always remember that there are multiple timelines that are happening simultaneously. All truth is truth. That's real, that actually happened. But in what timeline are we talking about? And which one of those timelines of truth is relative to the situations that are happening right now, right here, and specifically situations that are personal to you, okay? So it's not just about speaking to the dead, so to speak. A lot of people go to people who channel relatives, or you may had an OBE and you met up with your relatives. I met up with my dad before, and my aunt used to like to come in dreams and stuff like that. But that's from wherever you're getting information from the version of them that you know them to be. That version is going to be in a plane that's not as I'm gonna use higher up. It's not about higher or lower, but I had some experience with some beings that are very, very high dimensional, and it felt like they were here and I was here. So your relatives who have transitioned, who are like here telling you something, is not going to give you the bigger perspective like the beings who are up here, who are also your relatives from a galactic perspective standpoint, but you don't remember them. You see, you only remember the ones from here, and you also don't remember some people who you are related to as another person, another human that you were in other lifetimes, that's running simultaneous and parallel with this life. So there's so many various perspectives and all of this and that, which is why you've got to go to wherever it is that you want to know if something's like this or that. You got to go there yourself. Okay. And so reading books, going back to ancient tablets and scrolls and all these other things, again, people interpret things based on their perspective. And even if it was not just a human, it was a galactic being that said this or that, that galactic being saying something from this particular star system may contradict the galactic being over here saying something from this particular star system. Okay? So I'm just saying. So who's wrong, who's right? Everybody is right. It's not about wrong or right. It's about perspective. And it's about how you perceive things from your perspective too, not just them. How are you perceiving what they're saying? My thing is, forget what they say and go there so you can have an experience and form your own conclusion about the thing. I can go on and on about so many different things. I'm going to wrap this up with one last thing that I want to say. I want to talk about astrology and various cosmologies, because a lot of people determine how things are going to be in this world and within their own life based on whatever sign that they are. Like, I'm supposedly a Gemini based on 12 zodiac signs, but if you go by 13, because some people go by the 13th sign, that makes me a Taurus, which Taurus actually is more accurate than Gemini for me, depending on my mood for the day, really. But what I found to be even more accurate is the Mayan Olmec cosmology, which the law of time talks about, your kin numbers, solar seal, galactic signature, all of that. I found that to be extremely accurate. And it's something that I introduce people to, because during my journey with OBEs, and it's been many years now, since 2008, 2009, as time passed on around 2011 is when I was in 2011. Yeah, I was introduced to all of that, and it made sense to me. And as a few years went by, it allowed me to have that galactic connection that I'm talking about. And it allowed me to have the connection very quickly. The thing about it is, over the last 3 months, because memory has opened up and because I've been more in tune with beings from my origin, I will say to you that I've come to the conclusion that those tools are just simply not necessary anymore. Like, there's a faster way. So those cosmologies, including astrology, and getting information that way is like going on the highway to get somewhere, as opposed to all these little side streets. So the highway is wonderful, but what's even faster than the highway? Well, taking the toll road, right? So imagine you jump on the highway, but you can go even faster by getting on the toll road version of the highway, but you don't have to pay for it. If you don't have to pay for it, you might as well go that way. It's faster. And so for me, the toll road version is the senses and the way in which you do that, and your breath. I want to mention that as well. Your breath is so important. People talk about it, but it's not just about sitting down meditating. It's about doing what you already do every night, which is you go to sleep. When you work with yourself at night, you're going to get to where you want to be much quicker than trying to, during the daytime or early in the morning, have a time to meditate and do all this other kind of stuff. That's all well and good because you're disciplining yourself. But work with what you already have and you already naturally do all the time. And then at night, your pineal gland is very active, so that's helping you as well. You add your senses and the breath in there and all of this, and if you put it all together and know how to do it, I mean, you're going to be very consistent with your OBEs, and you're going to have the type of OBEs, and there's various ways to induce an OBE when you use your senses, and there's various types of OBEs, okay? And so let go of the cosmologies as your guide, because those are tools that you may have needed decades ago, centuries ago, people needed, but now these days and times, you don't need those tools. You have everything you need within yourself and what you naturally do, what your body naturally does, okay? So I want to put that out there. If you want to know the truth, don't be relying on what's in this house and that house and what's retrograde and all these other, forget all that. You have OBEs. You can go beyond that because all of these things, like the various planets in our star system and how they move and all of that, again, we're still looking at things from an earthly perspective. Because Jupiter's doing that, Neptune's doing that, all of that, that's what's happening on Earth. Let's go beyond that. Let's go outside of our solar system. What's happening galactically and how is that influencing the solar system? Okay? So what about all these other planets we've never heard of before? And that's another thing. People keep talking about the planets they've heard of. There's a planet called Metvelvar, for an example. I've been there. There's so many others. There's hundreds of thousands of planets within our galaxy that no one's talking about. And they are influencing this planet too. But if you're only focusing on the ones you've heard about, what Venus is doing and Mars and all this other kind of stuff, then you're not getting the bigger picture. You see? So let go of the tools because the tools that we use still is not giving us the bigger picture. It was great. It helped us, but let's transcend that now. Okay? You can transcend that. You have an OBEs. Please, you're not just sitting down seeing stuff in your mind's eye. You're going to the places. Use that to your advantage. There's so much more that I can say, but I'll be sitting here for hours. I'll save it for another video. All right? But I just wanted to say those things. And again, if you want to connect with me, if you want to be a part of the inner circle that I'm building, I'm definitely going to be opening it up sometime within the next 2 weeks, probably within the next week. But I have it scheduled for myself. That is my plan, that on September 6th will be the first of the weekly live calls. Okay? And I'm not getting off that call until everybody's question is answered. And it's going to be answered by me. I'm not just going to have somebody that's going to be helping out, who's going to answer the questions and all these other type of things. And the same thing inside of the community. It's me that's talking to you or communicating with you, that's typing you back. It's me, okay? So if you're interested in that, you know where to go. I already told you, mysticalrecall.com. Outside of that, I'm going to have some more videos coming up soon, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.